Hey, what's up, patrons? James from Junkyard Fox. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we got ourselves a first in a long time video, a Patreon only exclusive. So I hope you guys like it. I'm very excited to make this video. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we had a longtime patron, Isaac Ambreeze. He did send me a message. He did have a suggestion for a video, and I thought it was very interesting. He said, why don't you make a reaction to an older video of yours? Such as like your EDC update. And you know, we make an EDC update every couple of months, and my first EDC update must have been made in early 2015. It is now the middle of 2023, so we're looking at like easily 8 years. So that's interesting. I thought that was a very interesting thing. See how I've evolved as a person, how my tastes have evolved in terms of brands and my setup and so on and so forth. So I did think that was interesting. Full disclosure as well, I was supposed to go out and film a video today, like a solo desert overnighter, and I just turned around and came back home. It is like 106 degrees today. We are past like 33 days in a row, consecutive days here in El Paso, Texas, of hitting like triple degree heat. So it's like 104 degrees, 108 degrees, and it's brutal. It is brutal outside to be out there. And truthfully, there was a death recently in my family, in my home, and I'm still bummed about it. And I have this very horrible habit when I'm grieving or I'm sad, where I don't want to process things. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to, so I keep my hands busy. And so, I got to go to work. I got to go do this and I got to go do that. And I'm almost 40 years old. I got to really stop and learn to just process things. And so I was on my way to the desert. I was practically already there. I stopped to put gas. And while I'm putting gas, I realized, you know what? I want to go home. I want to go home. I just want to go home and relax with my kitties and cuddle them. And, yeah, so I decided to come home. And, I still can't bring myself to just lay around and just read a book or something. So, of course, we're going to film this video. Now, I am having myself a Colorado Kool-Aid, so feel free to join me. Have yourself a drink, whether, it's a beer or some whiskey. If you don't drink alcohol, of course, get yourself some soda or a chamomile tea, something like that. And I hope you guys have some fun. So, thank you for joining me. Let's do this.
Okay, this video is going to be my EDC pocket dump, and for those of you who don't know, EDC stands for Everyday Carry. So these are just the items, the gear that I'm carrying with me every day to help.
First things first, you can tell how shy I was back then. I mean, this was probably the third video I had ever made, because the first one was the sawing a 90-degree spine on a Mora knife to make it strike ferro rods, so that was my first one. My second one was using doing the same thing, but to my Swiss Army knife on the can opener. Right there, just flattening it out so you can strike ferro rod. And then this was my third video, EDC. So I was still fairly new. I was taking the cutlery lover route where you don't see my face. I thought that would be easier. It wasn't, but so yeah, youngster James here, just explaining his EDC. Fairly new to it. I was barely doing this whole EDC thing for about a year at this point, so had you caught me a year prior of this video, I would not have had a flashlight on me or a pocket knife or any of that stuff. I was just a simple city slicker.
Paracord doesn't weigh anything, so always have my.
So I gotta give myself some credit. I'm a youngster here. I'm fairly new to the EDC game, but I do gotta say that I have the basic skeleton of what I would carry eventually. And I'm carrying a lot of stuff here. I would have streamlined that out a little bit as I got older, but some of the basic stuff that a lot of people forget are already here. So when people first get into this whole EDC game, of course they want that knife, they want that handgun, they want that multi-tool, but they forget the little things like chapstick, like a bandana, little things that you're going to use a lot more often than you will use your firearm. So I gotta say that I did have these things there. Also, of course, I did have my notepad and pen, which to this day is used every single day. As dorky as it sounds, I carry this damn thing all the damn time. I'm writing on it. I was just writing on it just an hour ago. So I go through these like hotcakes, and I love a good solid notepad and pen to just write down my ideas.
Okay, now for the more interesting stuff. This is my ferrocerium rod. Now you guys know what a ferrocerium rod. You go ahead and just scrape this with the back of your knife or something, and it'll make sparks. It helps make fire. So this is the large.
So I gotta say that the Ferro Rod holder around your neck was interesting. You know, I've always looked for ideas like outside the box. How can I, do something a little bit different? And I'll give myself points for that if I could tap my own shoulder a little bit. But truthfully, as I used that, it was very heavy, very uncomfortable. I would carry it every day. I would carry it to my day job. I would carry it running errands, and it was very heavy, very uncomfortable. And the edge of the ferro rod would cut a hole in my shirt. So in the first couple of years, you see there's a hole right here on my shirts, on all my shirts, and that's because it was the ferro rod just rubbing continuously on it. And yeah, eventually I ended up dropping that. The good old Condor cap heart. Now, at this point, I was already getting into like very rustic type of knives, very old world looking knives. So I had jumped from the Mora Companion, which is a great knife, to something a little bit more old school with wooden handles. So I did get the Condor cap heart. I do gotta say, that knife sucked. That knife, that's why there's a reason why I've never reviewed Condor products on my channel, is because honestly I find them very subpar. Obviously, this could have changed in the last couple of years, and I don't know, but as of back then, 2015, that Condor cap heart would go dull in a day. Very quickly, very easily. And I mean, I had to make it look that good to begin with. I had to scrape off with sandpaper, like the black ugly coating that it came with, to give it the blade color, the steel color, and give it a 90 degree spine. So it's a cool little project. I would say it's a good little like beginner's type of knife, but you quickly graduate past it.
Belt pouch. This always goes on my left side. I'm sorry, right side of my belt. I got this magazine pouch at a military surplus store just for like $10, and I like because it
Ooh, the Swiss Army knife pouch. I do think that's a great idea, and obviously I'm not the first guy to have invented that concept. But yeah, to have a Swiss Army knife or a multi-tool of some kind, your Leatherman, a flashlight, and a little ferro rod, I think you already got the basics of survival right there. You can lose everything else, but if you have those three things, and I think that's pretty useful. To this day, it still holds up. Of course, that Swiss Army knife to this day I still own. Still a great knife. The little flashlight I did give away, I have upgraded since then. And the ferro rod, once again, this is why I'm saying that I was very clunky when I was younger, because why do I need a 6-inch ferro rod around my neck and then a 3-inch ferro rod on my belt? You know what I mean? So by now I've already graduated to just having a lighter on my person, and that's it. That ferro rod will go in my haversack, and this is a good idea. I will, if I can give myself a little bit of props. The whole like putting a pen cap on a ferro rod, like putting it together, I think that's really cool, so that way it doesn't fall off. I thought that was really pretty smart.
You're wearing a hat, for example. This is my hat right here. Let's say you need to use both hands and it's dark outside. You can just go ahead and attach it to your hat. My hat right there.
So that hat, Jaguar's Gold Club, that's a strip club. That's a strip club in my city. And it's a little throwback to my younger, wilder college days. I remember one time we were getting out of the strip club, me and my buddy Tommy, and one of the strippers walks out there and just throws us a hat. She just threw it, and we picked it up and took it. And I had it for years, even though I stopped going to it. At the time, I was living with this girl, and she wasn't about the strip club thing, which I understand. But she threw away the hat, and I was like, why? That hat was good memories, but.
Now, I'm not a big fan of the serrations in the chisel grind, which means you see how the edge is right there, but on this side it's just flat.
Hell yeah, the Swiss Army knife, the one-handed trekker from Swiss Army Knives is to this day one of my favorite multi-tools, if not my favorite multi-tool of all time. I know some people require pliers. I am not a plumber. I am not a mechanic, so I don't really need that. To me, I need more stuff like a blade, screwdriver, bottle opener, can opener, that kind of stuff, a saw. So this to me works great. Now in the video, you see that I actually have the one-handed version, like this, and then I do have the older version that's just, the old school Swiss Army spear point blade that you open. I ended up selling that one to Cuervo Negro. So Cuervo actually has that one. So when you look at his EDC updates, a lot of the times you will see his classic Trekker. That was originally mine. I'm a little bummed out because they stopped making it, and I really wanted one because it was really great. It's a really great classic retro blade, but with all the modern amenities that I really like. So, yeah.
This is gonna be this might be a bit much, but I like to play it safe. These are my boots. I carry these boots every day. I'm not that kind of guy that wears his boots once a month.
One of my first ever boot knives, not my very first, but my second. And, back then I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of leeway with companies and stuff like that. So I just put whatever I could on my boot, trying to think outside the box. And that was a terrible idea because that knife was crappy. Let me explain. The knife is great, but the sheath was dog shit. I remember the first sheath that it came with, the classic #1, the vulcanized leather. Absolute crap. As soon as you open it from the package, it's absolute crap. It was no good. And so I ordered this leather sheath from Self Reliance Outfitters, but it was some little rinky-dink crappy made in Pakistan little leather sheath. It lost retention fairly quickly. And so at the time that I'm like around this time in my life, I'm a handyman. So businesses would contact me, and I would go clear their gutters or replace their light bulbs on a roof kind of thing. And so I have a boot knife, and I remember one time I'm on the roof of a restaurant, and it's slanted, and I'm climbing, but my body weight is bringing me down. It was a very sketchy little pastime, and I don't recall what happened, but my boot knife, that Mora, fell out on my leg, and it dinged down onto the floor 25 feet down. And I was like, oh no, did I damage the blade? Which I did. I was able to bring it back to life. But yeah, I dinged it because it hit concrete. Now luckily, I didn't get a lawsuit or anything because it fell in where there's a dumpster area, so there was nobody around. So don't think that it fell and cut someone's scalp or something. But yeah, as soon as that happened, I went to get it. I took it home. I fixed up the blade because it's a Scandi, so of course it bent. No, I got to look for a different type of boot knife. And, I didn't want to give up on the boot knife concept, but a Mora was not going to be it. And so I do think that I've definitely stepped up in what I carry nowadays. In fact, something like this. And something like this. Completely random, these boots are right here just because, yeah, far better boot knives. I will say that putting a lighter on your boot is a good idea that I ended up stopping. I stopped doing that, and I should bring that back because what's more important than fire, honestly? If I'm in a situation where I lost my lighter and I lost my knife, so I can't make a flint and steel fire or a Ferro Rod fire, that is pretty interesting. And very useful to have on your boot, and I completely forgot about that. So I think I may bring that back. So, Mr. Ambriz, you may have altered the future of Junkyard Fox EDC updates again. Okay, so video is over. So final thoughts on judging this EDC update. I would say that generally the skeleton of my EDC setup is there. You got the multi-tool, you got the flashlight, you got the fixed blade, the bandana, the chapstick, ferro rod, some kind of fire making thing, a boot knife. So that's there. And I gotta say that, for being so early on in my EDC life, I was pretty well set. I will say I'm very clunky. There's a lot of things I don't need. That 6-inch ferro rod jumping around my neck was not necessary. The what do you call it? The paracord bracelet, I think, is just a product of its time. No one really takes that serious, especially because I learned how to just put it around my boot. And that's one thing that I do got to say that if I may toot my own horn a little bit, is I always look at how can I approach something a little different in my situation. So instead of having a paracord bracelet, I wrap paracord around my cowboy boot, around the ears. And then, of course, I have a boot knife and stuff like that. So Overall, I think this kit is gonna be all right. There's a couple of things he does need to upgrade. Once again, that belt knife was god awful. That Condor Kephart, once again, it did such a bad impression on me that you've never seen me use Condor knives again, because they're almost embarrassing to use. They're really bad. Um, Once again, things have changed. It's been like 6, 7 years, so maybe they're better now. Who knows? Let me know down in the comments if you guys think I should give Condor knives another chance. But that's about it for me. Of course, I did upgrade in not only in knives, being a little bit more subtle. I don't need 2 ferro rods. I have a lighter on me. And of course, that little Jaguars hat gave way to a big cowboy hat. I was younger at the time, and I was a little rebellious against being a cowboy, because every youngster is rebellious against where they live. But eventually I came to it, and I love a cowboy hat. So I didn't have one then, so that's a big difference from then to now. So let me know, did you guys enjoy this video? Let me know, did I evolve in a good way? Did I evolve in a bad way? Am I forgetting something that I maybe should have kept? Let me know, and chime on down below. How have you evolved in the last 6, 7 years in terms of EDC? Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit more simple now. I don't need this I need to survive a survival situation every single moment of my life, because realistically, you're not gonna be in that. Majority of the time, you're stuck in traffic. You gotta go, you're 9 to 5, that kind of stuff. So let me know. Thank you all for everything. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for putting up with me and all my endless shenanigans. Patrons, you guys are the best. And thank you all. Cheers, everyone. And I'll see you guys next week with another video. Now go outside and get your boots dirty.